this thing on? Because it's getting ready to be on.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bell Ringer. My name is Greg. Your guest name today is McNally. She heads up the Foundry on Buffalo's east side. They have Makerspaces, and they help minority and women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs get off the ground. They help and prioritize neighborhood businesses to really put a lot of energy back into their neighborhood and to aspire to be creative and find ways to monetize their creativity. It's a really awesome program, and this is a great episode. Thanks so much for listening. Rate us on iTunes, and that's it. Thank you. So, for those that don't know, what is the Foundry?
So the Foundry is a business incubator and creative education space. We house 4 Makerspaces, which provide access to woodworking, metalworking, textile, and tech tools, both for businesses and for youth who are learning different job skills.
So it's not the place where a bunch of my coworkers get married?
Oh, dun dun dun.
So
no, it isn't. And actually,
the background of that question is my coworker Alan, who you know, who helped us set this up, told me that I should lead with that question.
That's funny.
And then that would trip you up or make you laugh.
I actually, when I introduce ourselves, oftentimes I'll mention that because people get confused. But we actually have had kegs show up and DJs and party guests. But no. Someday, maybe we will host a, maker-oriented wedding, but...
That would be cool, yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, we had Olivia, we're a team of 11, and Olivia, Casey, and Alan all got married at the other Foundry, not to be mentioned on this podcast.
The Foundry Suites.
Foundry Suites, yes. So, your Foundry...
Yes.
...is what we're excited to talk about today.
Yes.
For those that don't know, you listed kind of the industries that they're in, but what is a makerspace?
So a makerspace is basically providing access to tools. Either it's for makers who are creating and small batch manufacturing things that they would sell, but it also can be just providing access for education. So really just the critical piece is access to tools and resources and knowledge of how to use those tools. And it doesn't have to be woodworking or metalworking. It just has to be some sort of industry. So, ours, like I said, really focuses on metal, wood, tech, and textiles. But we have a lot of computer-assisted design tools. Meaning that, you basically tell the computer to print out some fancy object and it either cuts it in metal, it cuts it out of wood. We're getting a digital knitting machine, so you could essentially, print your own sweater if you wanted to, or a sweater for your dog. I don't know if you have a dog, but...
I don't have a dog, but I will print myself a really cute sweater, maybe around Christmas time, an ugly Christmas sweater or something.
You totally could do an ugly Christmas sweater.
All right, I'll stop by. Now we got to set up a second meeting. So who do you most often find leveraging these makerspaces? Who is it open to in our community?
I think that's honestly the beauty of the Foundry. So, some people ask about who comes to the Foundry, and I don't think I really have an answer of the particular person. And so it's really open to everyone and anyone who's interested in learning. And, we have people who are 5 years old who are, we're bringing them on a tour and they see sparks fly and they get really excited about it. And, all of them decide that they want to be underwater scuba welders for life. But then we also, have folks who are in retirement age, who are, 70 plus, who want to really give back and teach what they've learned to other people. So, all different ages, races, religions, etc. It's really just the critical piece would be if you're interested in making and creating it all.
Right. I didn't even know scuba welders was a thing.
Oh yeah, they're paid pretty well.
Now I'm interested.
I would never do it. It's so dangerous.
I scuba
really?
dove one time.
Oh, okay.
And it was a fun experience, but it was
so
definitely
imagine
scary.
Sparks and heat around oxygen tanks. It just seems a little...
Yeah, scary.
Yeah.
But that's interesting about the kids, and it's something I wanted to talk about. like piquing their interest in trades and like, working with your hands at a younger age, because there's no denying that we kind of have a skilled workforce shortage. How important is it to you to get these kids interested in it when they're young and make it seem like it's something within reach that they can do when they grow up as a career?
Yeah, I think you're so right in saying there's no denying that we have a shortage of skills. And I think in particular with the way that work is moving, especially in manufacturing, and there's a ton of automation happening. So we really focus on getting people excited about making. But the reality is there's not many woodworkers left in the world who are making, buco bucks. But if you can translate that love for making into understanding, well, if you can access a CNC router, if you can access a laser cutter that cuts wood, being able to sort of upskill and access those additional skills for, digital literacy and access to computer-assisted design tools is really, where the focus is. And so what we're really looking to do is spark people's creative side, to say, yes, there are valuable skill sets that you can learn, and yes, there's significant amounts of money that you can make. So, I think there's this, perceived notion that if you go to college, you're going to make more than if you,
right.
Go into the trades, and that's just absolutely not true. And so just trying from a young age to really change those conversations and bringing, we both bring in the students who get excited about it, but then also bringing in the adults and the parents who might have a preconceived notion around, the amount of money you can make as a tradesperson. Not to mention, even if you start your business, sort of the endless opportunities of making income.
Right. And the creativity piece of that is really interesting to me. I think when most people think of creativity, they think of a designer or a writer, but, it very much is a woodworker or, folks like that. In what ways do you find inspiration in those for your creativity, and how beneficial do you think it is for people at the Foundry to use that as an outlet?
I think having different skill sets within the Foundry, people interact. It's a very organic way of interacting. So, we have 4 different spaces that people are accessing, but also we have all the businesses that have all these different skill sets. And so having different sort of people and different sort of skill sets interacting really increases people's creativity and like openness about trying new things and trying things differently and seeing the results of that. I have a good example of, one of our businesses who started off making wine glasses. So he was cutting up old wine bottles, like sanding them down. He was working in his shop, and I was running a commercial woodworking business. We were commissioned by a brewery to make these bottle openers that were round, and they were basically for like drink coasters that you could put your mug on at the brewery. And he took one look at it. He was not into what he was doing at the time, but he wanted to figure out a way to quit his job. And he said, "Oh my God, these look like hockey pucks. And do you mind if I take this idea, transition it?" And so now he runs Buffalo Bottle Craft, and he makes bottle openers out of hockey pucks, golf balls, and baseballs. But had he not been in that creative atmosphere to just be encouraged to think outside the box and think differently, he may not have transitioned what he was doing into this other business, which has really allowed him to, quit his job, hire people full time, and be really successful. So
yeah, that's
creativity
awesome.
is super important.
Yeah, and people in the startup community always talk about collisions is kind of the buzzword, and between the Makerspace and the incubator that you guys have, I'm sure there's tons of that.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about the incubator space and the types of companies that are housed within you?
So we make a commitment to makers in general, obviously because we have Makerspaces.
Right.
The idea really being behind it, so when I started my commercial woodworking company, no bank is going to lend you money because they don't have the proof of your income. And so we have a lot of businesses that are starting up. Maybe they're in their garage, in their basement, and their significant other says, like, you better commit to making this work. But they don't necessarily have the proof of concept where they could go out and get like a $50,000 loan for equipment. And so what we do is we work with them to house them in our space to say, why don't you use our equipment for a while, build up your capacity to then apply for equipment loans. People start off in about 100 square feet. So what we realized at the time is, I actually didn't know this until I started getting into it, but it's actually pretty difficult to find 100 square feet of space that is zoned in a particular way that would support making. And so you can get a office in some random building for 100 square feet, but doing a business that's particular to making is very difficult to find anything less than like 600 to 1,000 square feet. And so what we do is we specialize in 100 square feet. We start off, and then throughout the process, our max is about 500 or 600 square feet. And once you get to that point, it's really helping you graduate to other spaces within the city to say, like, you've built and grown your capacity to this point, and here's all the other resources available real estate-wise in Western New York. But as a business, you get access to business assistance services. We partner with Westminster Economic Development Initiative, as well as the Beverly Grace Center, as well as Small Business Development Center, a bunch of different small business assistance organizations where you'd be able to meet one-on-one with a coach. But also you can attend different classes within the Foundry. And it's really, I would say, buying into a network, an existing network. So, as a startup business in the startup world, like, your number one driver is trying to get more people who know about you, because you just are an unknown entity.
Right.
And so, being at the Foundry, you're automatically exposed to everyone within the Foundry who's also rooting for you, who also refers you out to people. And then we give weekly tours. So, we have usually hundreds of people who are visiting within a week's time, that get to see your business and elevate your, elevate yourself.
Yeah. And how many businesses will you typically house at one time?
So it depends on the different sizes of the businesses. So right now we're at 26, but that's because multiple businesses have taken over more than 100 square feet.
Right.
So we're very flexible in our ability to change from 100 to 400, 500, 600 square feet. And so right now we're at 26. We just added 8 additional spaces upstairs. So typically I'd say we'll probably go from 26 to 40 businesses, just depending on the different sizes and that people are at.
And do you have an anecdote or like a favorite success story that has graduated into another space? And maybe not a favorite, but one that comes to mind. I don't want to make you put you in a bad spot.
There are so many examples. There is, I'll give you 2 maybe. So one of them, we have different levels of success, I would say. So you have the higher growth businesses that end up hiring multiple people or are in have national contracts, that kind of stuff. And then you also have people who just want to employ themselves, and that's awesome too. And so we worked with an individual who is graduating this month, Buffalo Boho, and she worked with us. She does jewelry and uses these glass beads that are made out of the Czech Republic, very particular trade. But so she has developed her line of jewelry for a while. Was in our space, then elected to go into the pop-up, the Buffalo pop-up through Budsy.
Okay.
And just realized like she loves that space. She needs more space. She ended up getting some national contracts, and her sales has really increased. So she's graduating into that bigger space that's in the Market Arcade. So it's not like she's hiring 50 people, but providing for herself and providing an opportunity for other people to enjoy her jewelry. And then we have another business that's graduated, Sandra Beauty. So she started her business when she was 9, and basically from there was able to grow her business. Her mother came to us essentially and said, I don't know what to do. Like, she's taking over our kitchen. What do we do with her? And I was like, I don't know. We'll find a space for her. So we built out a little space for her. She moved into about 150 to 200 square feet, then needed 400 square feet. And then she eventually graduated into 5,000 square feet in Great Arrow. Has contracts with Target. So she supplies 700 different Target stores across the nation, and all at the age of 18. Or maybe she's 19 now, but...
Yeah, and starting at 9.
Right. So, you have, bigger examples like that where, she's hired multiple people and,
right.
Travels around the country doing speaking engagements and stuff like that. But both of them are considered super successful, and, it just is what you want out of it. And whatever you want is what we want to help you achieve.
Right. And then how can large companies in the area support the Foundry, whether it be sponsorship or, events, anything like that?
Yeah, so we just started doing this really fun opportunity. So we do sponsorships, but part of the sponsorship and what we realized is really important to some of the larger companies is opportunities for team building. And so we take different teams and work on communication skills and trust and all that sort of stuff in a shop. So, building it, we do a building challenge in the metal shop, where we had a bunch of bankers in there, like, learning how to weld and plasma cut. Mm-hmm. And so taking people out of their normal day and, out of their comfort zone to have this activity, but being able to have conversations around things that normally bug them or, issues that come up during the normal workday, but it's much easier to have a conversation about that once you've done something that nobody in the group is familiar with. And so you're able to have more constructive conversations. So we do that, but we also, we're just starting to do this thing called Foundry Made. Essentially, it's employing some of our students who have graduated through our programs to make basically like marketing materials. Yeah. So, I have an example here is a keychain. And so, students can learn how to laser cut and engrave, but then they can put Invest Buffalo Niagara on the keychain or, whatever right. Big company. And so we're looking for companies to support us by just giving us a portion of their marketing dollars. They get something in return, but it's also really a valuable learning lesson for our students because they also learn about the contracting aspect. They learn about cost of materials and how to, price things and how to make a line of items. And then hopefully we're going to be working with some of them who may be interested in starting their own businesses to roll out some of their, business ideas once they participate in that program. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And then you guys are located on the east side of Buffalo.
Yes.
And obviously there's like a lot of momentum growing over there between Northland, and we just recently had Royce on with the Beverly Gray Business Exchange Center. He's going to be happy that I said that right. So like, what makes you optimistic about that area and, happy to be over there, and what promise do you see?
I don't know. I mean, I've lived there for, 10, 11, maybe 11 years now. So I actually live right next to the Foundry. It's just like any other community in Buffalo. People look out for each other, and there's exciting stuff finally happening with a lot of investment, but I think it's always been a great place to live. It's just, different perceptions from different people, right? So we're just committed to being there and committed to support the momentum, and hopefully we can graduate some more small businesses from the area and, see a lot of success there.
Right. And then you guys are focused on like minority and women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
In your space, and neighborhood entrepreneurs. Yes. Locally. Why that focus for you, and why is it important to you?
I think in general, focusing on minority and women-owned businesses is primarily just because if you look at the demographics of the city, if there's 40% African-American folks living in the city, there hopefully should be 40% black-owned businesses in the city.
Right.
So really trying to even the playing field, I think, is our commitment. And, same with women. If there's 52% women in the city of Buffalo, there shouldn't be like 20. I think it's something like 20-something% women-owned businesses. So, how can we just level the playing field? Although, we don't want to have the perception that other folks are not welcome in the Foundry, right? Like, so yes, we do prioritize, if you are strictly from the neighborhood 14208, we would try to help you move into the space and sort of give you a leg up over maybe some other applications, but we're not exclusive to that. It's just really trying to see, how can we level the playing field in the region for increasing minority and women-owned businesses.
Yeah, and that feels like the beauty of this space is kind of the openness and the collaboration that can exist and just how organic it really is.
Absolutely. That's why I love being there.
So thank you very much for your time. Before we let you go, a couple Blizzard round questions.
Okay.
You're cringing already.
I know.
If you were a flavor of ice cream, what would you be?
Oh. Chocolate with peanut butter chunks.
Book or TV show that you'd recommend?
God, these are really hard. Okay. Book or TV show. Can I skip that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we come back to it?
Maybe.
We'll skip for now. We'll see what you think. Text or phone call?
Text.
Bills or Sabres?
The Bandits.
Bandits, good pick. That's the same thing Alan said on one of our
really?
first episodes.
So much more fun to... I'm sorry for all of the football and hockey fans. But
Bandits games are great.
They're great. They play rock music the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And the announcer gets into it.
Oh, yeah.
Hiking or skiing?
I'll have to go with hiking because it's a little bit more affordable. Although I do love skiing.
Book or TV show? Or still pass?
I mean, I've been watching the 12 Monkeys lately.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting one.
That's something. We got one. And then last question. Chicken wings, drumstick or flat?
Drumstick because it has the crunchy parts.
Perfect. That's my exact answer. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Is a podcast by Invest Buffalo Niagara, the region's privately funded, nonprofit, marketing, and economic development organization. Please rate this podcast, follow our social media channels, and read our blog at buffaloniagara.org for the best of Buffalo Niagara. Come grow your business with us.